a modern take on how the road bike is going to go for the future. You know, kind of going back originally, we thought, okay, we want to design a road bike. How does that look? Okay, it'll have disc brakes, it's between 2x, it's going to respect aero. You're all of a sudden in a massive big pot of other road bike brands that have got disc brake, that have got 2x, that are respecting aero, it's comfortable. How do you position yourself in amongst that lot? And again, I think the one by conversation helped us be different and position that model and help position our brand kind of where we are without going too far forward and too conceptual. And I think for the future, that's kind of where we'll always be, not just with the design of the bike, with the way we communicate, the way we talk to our customers, the look, the colors, the whole thing is, I think, being quite brave, but just looking ahead to the future a little bit.
We're not looking for a product, or we're not producing a brand that does products that's going to be right for everybody. It's not necessarily Marmite in the way that it's different. It doesn't fit with old traditional cyclists that are running rim brakes and tubs. There's a market for that for sure. There's a market for the guys that want to be on, you know, in skin suits racing TTs or cyclocross or whatever your passion is. I think where we sit different is to say, well, this is what we're doing. If you like it, come with us, come on the journey, come enjoy it. It's not, we're shoving it down your throat, this is the best, it has to be the best. Like, well, we've done this because we think it's right and we like it and it's enjoyable, and we think it could appeal to you. We're not trying to force it on people's throat. And of course, you know, some people will push back on that, and the design of the frame is very polarizing, especially on the R+1. The way that seat stay, it's the first bit everybody goes to is to look at that flat top on the seat stay. What's that? And it's great, and I love that. Because if the worst thing I think is that if you have a product that goes out there and there's zero engagement in any form, then it's nothing. It's worthless to anybody because it's neither loved or hated. And I think having something that has engagement and you can get involved in a conversation with is definitely a massive thing for us.
I think the starting point for us was to kind of follow on a second model from the gravel bike, from the V+1, and kind of looking ahead to the future a little bit of what we thought group set manufacturers were going to be doing, the kind of customer that we wanted to provide the bike for, what the market was doing at the time. And we were kind of focusing quite a lot on one by. We believe at the time, which was kind of back in even 2017 when we first kind of sketched it out on how it would look, that one by was going to be quite a forward-thinking approach. By doing away with the front mech, we could then be quite creative engineering-wise with the down tube junction into the bottom bracket area, how we can create some additional stiffness, and that was quite an engineering challenge, and I think quite a performance gain for customers. Then we also wanted to provide some comfort as well, given the road conditions that we have in the UK and around the world, everyday riding conditions, the way the tarmac is kind of broken up. So looking at tyre width, rim width, what the trends were moving forward. So we thought, okay, let's have a look at how we can accommodate 30mm, 32mm tyre, still keeping it road oriented. And then also designing some engineering ideas around the seat stay, chainstay to provide some, maybe a little additional comfort, additional flex. And then also kind of respecting a little bit of aero. So we didn't want to kind of make an out and out aero road bike, but just to respect air pressure across the frame, and designing some camtail shaped tubes also to complement that. So that was the concept. I think, you know, when we set the brand out, we wanted to be quite forward-thinking, indie boutique style, not necessarily shaking up the industry, but being brave and kind of moving forward, making it conceptual, but to the point where it will come to market. It's not so conceptual that it would never make it. It's not a concept brand, it's like reality. And I think with my knowledge and experience over the years in the bike trade of where we could position the brand, how we could communicate with our customers was also important as well. So yeah, following on from V+1, there's kind of different design aspects and functions with the gravel bike we wanted to include with the R+1, with the road bike also. I think the other thing to add as well with this, we wanted to design our own bar stem combo and really think how we could integrate the hydraulic cables inside the frame and make that look really, really clean and tidy. And again, this is what we've got. We've got 1.5" headset, 1.25" rather than 1.5", 1.5". I think the way we've kind of engineered and designed the cable routing through is quite tidy and clean, durable, and yeah, we're quite happy with how it's all turned out. I've seen a number of brands that are, bar stem combo is not exactly super new, but I think it was quite a challenge from an engineering side with our engineer how we could really make that clean without cables running halfway through and then down the outside, or bits of cables kind of running through and making it too complicated. So I think we've kind of taken that and worked it to a very, very clean design. So we've got kind of two levels of the R+1. The first level is with bar stem combo, so totally wireless group set, internal hydraulic cables. And then the second version, which will take regular bar and stem, regular cable routing. So we've got kind of two levels, the very, very high-end level that we see here, and then the entry level that will take a number of group sets, both mechanical and electronic as well. Again, we're kind of looking at the customer types that might like this bike. They might not be influenced by what's going on with the Pro Tour. I think there's a great place for that market and those customers, and I think the big brands that get involved with the Pro Tour and do their marketing campaign around that, there's definitely a place for that. I think where we sit is more for customers that want something very slightly different. They want a comfortable bike. The top tube length isn't super long, it's not slammed, it's not racy, it is comfortable. And they want to be different in amongst their mates, their riding friends, and have this style of bike. Not just at the high end, but also when we start looking at a lot of new customers that are coming into cycling now, especially with CV19, first-time road bikers that not quite sure, okay, how do the gear ratios work? And you're looking at a 2-bar system, and then somebody's explaining, oh yeah, you need to change the front changer and then the rear and crossover and all at the same time. It can get quite complicated, but single chainring system, much, much easier to use. And again, I think those first-time customers coming into cycling as well, there's an opportunity for them to jump on something like this.
We looked at what we wanted to achieve first of all, and the product that we would want to ride. So when we first started with the gravel bike, we wanted something that was lightweight, could go anywhere on the tarmac roads. That we positioned it more to start with as Road Plus than we did as gravel, because we saw Road Plus as being versatile road bike that V+1 came from originally. And then when we moved on from that into the R+1, the dedicated road bike sector, there's so many segments even within a road bike now. It's like, okay, could we have done an out-and-out endurance bike? Yeah, we could have, but we already had a lot of that with the gravel bike already. An aero road bike or dedicated aero road bike, that takes a lot of wind tunnel data, and there's big brands that can have huge marketing budgets to do that. Could we have gone super lightweight? Well, yeah, but that market's already been done. That feels like an old hat product now as well. So, looking at the developing sector in one by and the opportunity it gave us in frame development and design and engineering there, that was the exciting bit. It's like, right, well, there's a huge opportunity here with the group set manufacturers putting money into it and making an effort. What if we optimized the frame around that? What does that give us? So yeah, that's how we started.
Traditional road cyclists that have been riding compact, semi-compact 2x for a long time might find that a little bit difficult to get the idea of, okay, you can use all those gears you normally use, but in a 1x setup. That'll take a little bit of acceptance. We know that will take some time, But I think from a performance aspect, by doing away with the second chainring on the inside, and then how we can bring the down tube purely symmetrical into the BB, so the bottom bracket width is still same standard bottom bracket width, we're not messing with the Q factor, but it increases the lateral stiffness, we know, compared to a 2x frame by about 32%. That's a starting point. So performance-wise, that's a massive advantage. That's a huge, huge advantage. So as soon as you lean on the pedals, that bike's just going to accelerate, very, very quickly. So performance-wise, there's no doubt. The numbers kind of show it. It all adds up. And then it's just really understanding the gear ratios, the harmony of those ratios as well. With the 1036 SRAM cassette, the first gears over rolling are just one step at a time, which is dead easy. Again, you've got a great harmony of gears just whilst you're going over those rolling hills. And then when you're climbing and you need those more climbing gears, then the steps are slightly larger, which is probably what you need then anyway. So I think, it will become more acceptable. I'm sure a lot of traditional road cyclists might not get it yet, and we're not ramming it home to people to say you have to like it. But I think that will come, again, looking back, reflecting how disc brakes, when they came to road bikes many years ago, it was like, no, that's a no-no. You should never have disc brakes on road bikes. But that eventually came through. It's quite brave, but I think, again, looking at how we can accommodate gear ratios for customers to cover the range of gears that the customer would normally have in 2x. So here we've got 1036 cassette, and then we've designed our own chainring. We've got 8 chainring options that the customer can choose: 38, 40, 42, 44, 46 and 48. It's a simple 8-bolt fixing onto either the SRAM Force or SRAM Red crank arm or our own alloy crank arm. So the customer can choose a combination and see very easily if they're normally riding compact or semi-compact. We can show them that what kind of chainring size would fit and offer those gear ratios across that range. And then if they want to, they can change out a chainring very, very easily to accommodate different riding conditions. So if they want to go to the Alps or want to ride somewhere else, it's a very, very simple fitting, just an 8-bolt fitting. They can swap that over. I think first of all we wanted to make sure that tyre clearance, we got more than enough tyre clearance for a kind of 32 mil tyre. That's going to take a lot of the high frequency vibration where you've got tarmac where the stone chippings are all broken off, or it's quite lumpy, so that's going to get rid of that high frequency vibration through the tyres. Rim width is becoming wider as well. And then the way we've actually designed the seat stays and chainstays, again, we couldn't really follow the V+1, the gravel bike, with those beautiful flat curves, because that's not quite so aero. So that's the reason why we've designed the seat stay chainstay that's going to provide some mechanical flex by probably about a 1mm, probably no more than that, but it does provide that flex. And then wherever we've got air pressure coming across the bike, we've got camtail shapes across the fork, down tube, seat tube, and then seat stay, head tube as well, seat post. So that again provides some slight bit of aero. Stiffness, definitely the bottom bracket we've discussed already, so you've got some massive stiffness around there. Head tube layup as well, we've got 1.5 inch, 1.25 inch. So again, the way we kind of designed the shape and the layup of the frame as well, bottom bracket, head tube stiffness is all there. We're happy with that.
When we were in California, we were talking about the way the seat stay was designed and stuff like that, and we had a product, talking to a gentleman, and he asked, why is that shaped that way? And I went through a couple of minutes and explained it, and he said, you should have a graphic or a sticker or something there that says what that is. I was like, no, that's the exact opposite of what we do. I'd rather stand and have a conversation with somebody about why that's shaped like that than have a sticker or an acronym or a made-up name for a gimmick in the frame. That's not what it's about. That gentleman then revealed himself as a product manager for one of the US brands. So I was like, well, that's not what we do. But it was just interesting that the mindset that's still out there, and for us just to step away from that.
Yeah, we've definitely kind of worked out what sort of level we need to provide that comfort and how that's all engineered into the seat stays and the chain stays as well. So yeah, your eyes do tend to go to that. Again, we want to have a very, very clean drive line, so we've kind of gone for black chainring, black cassette, so your eye tends to go to the frame. It's not complicated graphics, clean colours, clean look.
But if it had extra stickers and extra paint lines and bottom bracket diameters written around the outside of the frame, or even down to like torque settings, the manual's there for that to some extent. You set it up once, you don't always need the torque setting stuck on everything.
It didn't need to scream at all. It's kind of, I suppose, going back to the early BMX days where everything was kind of really, really stripped out. And that's kind of what we want to do on this side. And again, I think overall that's quite well accepted, that it's quite distinctive. So we have the rear brake cable, which runs all the way through the down tube, all the way through the stays, through the down tube, and then it actually comes out through the fork. So we've got a little cutout here. So the rear brake cable comes out of the down tube through the fork, through the steerer tube, and runs up through. And then the same for the front cable routing, literally runs through internally. So both hydraulic cables run inside here and then exit out the top. Both the cables will come up through the expander outside, so that kind of sits in top. Cables will come out of here into the steerer tube and then literally through the stem and either side. So we've got enough curve for the hydraulic cables not to be pinched, and then also to run through the bar as well. And the other thing as well is that it's not influencing the steering. It's not so tight that it's like, hang on, what's going on here? This is, it feels too restricted. It's open enough that the bar will actually swing back to neutral every time. So yeah, we're quite happy how it's all come out. Honest, I think, is one. Integrity is definitely one.
I would say indie, because it's independence, boutique in the way that it's styled,
and enjoyable. Yeah, probably that in order. I think you have to. I think you've got to have that enjoyment element. You've got to get out of bed with the people around you and the people you're discussing. You've got to enjoy it, and I think that enjoyment then comes through, especially at my stage of life now. It has to be. It's serious, but there's also an element of fun and enjoyment with it, and it's just great fun bouncing off the people we've got around us that kind of get that regular feedback. There's not one person that sits on the top rung of the ladder and dictates to everybody else. It's like, okay, how can we do this better? Let's listen to all of our feedback.